Pop, 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 pass the popcorn. 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 Pass the popcorn.
Welcome to Pass the Popcorn. I'm the casual moviegoer, Carrie Jarasinski.
Carrie Johnson.
Carrie Johnson. This is Carrie Johnson here. Across from me, my ever so handsome and possibly in his pajamas husband / co-host, Robert Jarasinski, joining me live from what appears to be the bedroom of the hotel that you might be staying in.
What's the sign say at the back here? Where am I?
It says Woody.
No, that's
Are
what I have.
Oh,
I'm in Hollywood. And I don't know why you call out the pajamas thing. It's like saying that there's a sky. Like, I'm always in my pajamas. There's always a sky.
This is fair.
Like, this is just I'm always in jams.
You
and these
always
are Tommy
are.
Bahama pajamas, so they're very comfortable, very breathable. I can wear these. I have worn these outdoors.
That's true.
And it's like nobody can tell that I'm in jams. So
I mean, they can, but at least you feel good about it. And that's what really matters most. But today, it's just you and me. And
just the two of us.
I know. It's been how many years since it's just been you and me on an episode? 12, 18?
It's been a few weeks.
A few weeks.
Few weeks.
Okay. All right. Well, it feels like many years since it was just you and I. And we're here today to talk about a topic of which I don't know where it's going to go. We're going to be talking about what Rob has deemed the state of movies. To me, there's steady state. That's the only state that I know right now for movies. But I imagine
you missed it. You missed it. The only state they make movies in is California. That's what you should have said.
I'm hosting here, so I guess I can just do really whatever I want, which is great. So we'll talk about that. I know you have things that you want to talk about and share, of which I don't know. And like all good marriages, we like to keep those secrets a surprise for shows like this today. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about a couple of our Patreon requested movies that we are so eager to talk about. I know you are, Rob.
Are we eager?
It's a word. It's a word that I chose to use.
Is it possible to like mute to Patreon or create some sort of situation where there's recourse,
like a sniper, like a sniper? We can snipe our Patreons.
I'm not talking about killing them.
Oh, sorry. I misread that.
Is there like on the, you can kick someone out, like, can we kick someone out? Like, someone's actually handing over, very valuable, their assets, their funds to us to watch movies. And in these two particular cases, it's like, I just want to...
You want a refund.
Yeah. I'm just going to give them their money back.
Yeah. Yeah, we will get there. So we will be covering both a request from Gavin McDowell of the movie Grave of the Fireflies, as well as a follow-up to a previous Pass the Popcorn worth mentioning that we talked about, Demons 2, just 1 year after Demons, which we'll get there, from Dan Prestwich. So sort of excited-ish to talk about those. But first, in the spirit of talking about how solid our marriage is and how all good marriages keep secrets, I want to share some of the secrets that I've experienced since you've been gone the last several days.
What have you heard that I've been doing out here?
I don't know what you've been doing.
Yeah.
I imagine...
Because I don't have anything to share. I'm very... there's nothing going on here.
No, you have been oversharing. I get your constant text messages.
In fact, you prefer not knowing. So, I don't hear from you. When you travel, when it's the other way around,
yeah,
I'm eager to know how things are going, but I don't write you. And then on the flip side, I have so many things I want to share. I believe traveling is a shared experience, or should be. And when I don't have anybody, my best friend, my wife, to share it with, it just feels a lot more empty. So Yeah. So I like sharing that with you.
You're-
What were you going to talk about?
I was going to talk about the message that I sent you earlier today, just a little bit to elaborate. For those that are listening, Rob is in Hollywood right now, working on multiple different projects that I honestly, mentally, and emotionally can't keep up with right now. So while 25% of me is very proud of you, 75% is just sort of like a blur of like, I don't even really know what you're doing aside from getting random pictures of like Chris Evans and then another random picture of somebody like throwing an axe, selfies of you. All of these coming across to me make very little sense, but I want you to know that 25% of me is very, very excited for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Is that where I guess thank you? I don't know what to say to the 0.25% interest that you have in what I'm doing out here. That is like a life dream.
It's gone up. It's gone up. No. It's definitely, it was definitely lower before. So you're heading and trending in the right direction. So I'm very, very excited for you. Meanwhile, though, I did text Rob earlier today. While all of this has been going on, Rob does check in pretty frequently to say things like, how's everything going? How's your day? And it's not going well, I would say. I would say it's actually going very poorly here without you. And it culminated a couple days ago, I would say at the peak. And I did withhold this information from you for a couple days because I knew you had a couple meetings that were coming up. And I thought, there's nothing you can do. Like, you can't help me. So what's the point of displacing my own stress and anxiety and panic onto you? Was my thought. Was that the right approach? Possibly. It came from a good place.
Possibly. I think more will be in the detail.
Okay.
I don't disagree necessarily, because I actually took that move myself when probably a situation of similar stress when my parents decided they wanted to come over a day early.
Fair.
And they let me know. I think we discussed that was right not to tell you until they came, because you would have been in a bit of a dither shape.
Yes. Okay, so we'll compare it to that.
I believe in that philosophy.
Okay.
But I think more will be in the details of how you communicated it when it was time to share. Because I was in a very not high stress, but just there was a lot of things going on. I probably didn't need one more thing on my plate either.
Okay.
So yeah.
So better though than today than the days prior. So a couple days ago, I'll tell you what happened. And Rob messaged me today and I said, I do want to share that something very bad did happen. And all Rob's response was health. And I was like, no, that's good. Kids, ? No, I responded. And then back to, I said, it's the house. And then you said fire, ? I said flood. And then you wanted more detail and I passed. I was like, you know what? I think I need to tell you.
That was the part that was not acceptable to me, is you can't just tell me flood and then pass.
So here's why I passed.
Before we get there,
okay,
did
yes.
I ask things in the proper prioritization order? I feel like I did.
Sure. I think that you did.
Yeah?
Yes.
They were?
Successful.
Is that the order of importance? Health?
Yes. Health and safety first. And then after that, the decimation of our home. I would say that is the correct order. So
I like that while I'm gone, you've managed to do one of the top two things.
Yeah.
On the list.
Yeah. I feel really good about it.
Cross that off. Yeah,
so,
you got your top two.
I agree. And I'm telling you in a public forum because, as we all know, I think your level of positivity and positive energy will be higher if many others are listening as well. So I'll share with you what happened. And I'm just hoping that you just wash over me with all of your empathy and understanding for how I handled the situation. So here's what happened. So the dogs, as you know, I picked them up from the lady who was watching them without you. I had a very difficult time getting their crates into the car, even though it was like 5 or 10 feet. They're really big. I was scraping them across the cement. I was cutting my hands. My legs were bleeding, everything. It was very difficult to get the crates just the 10 feet into the car. So the crates continued to stay in the car because I didn't want to drag them across our floors, ruin our house, bump into walls, but they were too big for me to carry me on my own. So I had the dog sleeping with me the last day or so, which was fine. And then a couple days ago in a pinch, I had to get out to go to my dad's birthday party. He was turning 70. Happy birthday, Dad. Turning 70, had to get out of the house, but again, still didn't have access to these crates or cages. So in that moment, I thought, WWRD. What would Rob do? And so what I decided to do was go in. I cleaned our entire bathroom, cleared the counters, cleared the garbage, closed all the doors, locked everything. So I was like, there is literally access to nothing in here. Like nothing, what could go wrong? So I did that. And then left for the birthday party and came back. The girls and I were kind of tee-heeing about like, I hope there's not a poo-poo to clean up and things like that. And we're like, crossing our fingers. As we approach the door, all we hear is like rushing water. And we're like, whoa, what is happening? We open the door. The two dogs are there standing in about an inch of water. And the little hose guy that's like on the tubby is just blasting water all over the place. There's just water everywhere. In a moment of hysteria and panic, I yell to the girls, get the blankets. They run off, go get the blankets. It was a team effort for like 45 minutes where I was like, throw the blankets. It was like, we were feeling really good. We turned the water off. We really got every drip and drop of water cleaned up. Positive experience. We're like, we've got this with teamwork. I actually felt much closer to the kids after experiencing that hysteria. And so now I even feel good. All the wet blankets are in the tub. I'm like, isolated incident. Feel good. Are you with me so far, Rob?
I have a question. I'll wait for the end and then I'll evaluate, because you said, what would Rob do? And
I knew that was already going to, I knew that was a mistake. I know you wouldn't have done this. So that was a mistake. I was trying to connect with you there. So very long story short, sister calls. Oh, what's going on? I said, oh gosh, we had like a flood in the bathroom. It's really bad. She's like, I can't believe it. I can't even believe this is happening. And I was like, yeah, it's horrible. If you can't, laugh, you'll cry. I was not crying. I was just feeling energized by solving the situation. And then she's like, oh, well, did you happen to check your basement? And so what happened then was much worse. So I did walk down to the basement above our laundry room, and where the ceiling previously was affixed to the ceiling was now on the floor, entirely on the floor.
So when you say like a fixed, you're talking about the entire ceiling was now on the floor.
Was just pretty much on the floor. So it wasn't ideal. I'd say that's when the true panic set in. I did freak out. We had exhausted all of the towels already, especially your not duvet. What do you call it? What's the butt towel called? Not a duvet towel. A bidet. Your bidet towel.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Duvet towel. I don't know what you're talking about.
Those were used. Everything was used. Every single towel. So now, again, hysteria. So that was a 3-hour process then of sweeping and cleaning up our floor our ceiling from the floor, and disposing of that in a way, setting up fans. I feel like, again, I handled it really, really well. At that point, I didn't tell you this either. My sister and brother-in-law did come over to try and help save the day, and did help me clean up and remove the existing ceiling that was sagging from the weight of the water above it. And yeah, that's just about it.
Yeah. Just so folks understand kind of our layout, if you want to visualize, the laundry room that Carrie is talking about that is now destroyed. I don't know if the basement laundry room.
It's actually fine. Yeah.
The upstairs bathroom.
Perfect. No, it's perfect.
I thought you said all the tiles need to be replaced.
The ceiling tiles that were.
Oh, the ceiling tiles.
Yes.
I misunderstood. I thought this was I'm getting my wish of getting a bathroom remodel, which is what I've always wanted. No. But just for layout purposes, what room is next to?
I knew you'd think that.
Room?
It is the theater area where we do watch movies that we've recently rewired. Not impacted. Even one single drop, no pun intended. So
we do have our cable running through
Nope,
the
not
laundry
affected.
room.
Didn't
Okay,
hit there.
all right.
So yeah,
How would you say I handled getting this news over text?
I would say fine. I would say I I could have used some applause potentially for the handling of the situation. But instead I did appreciate the calm. I will say also, Becky was like, "Are you going to call Rob?" I was like, "Oh God, no. I'm not going to call Rob." She's like, "Whenever anything goes wrong, I call my brother-in-law's name is Wade. I call Wade immediately when anything goes wrong." I'm like, "Oh no. I'm the calm. If I call Rob right now, he will freak out." So
Yeah,
I
I would
opted
say
out.
it was better that this was over text.
Yes.
I was and am upset. I'm not happy
No.
about it.
No.
But I feel like the text allowed me a chance because I always look for these opportunities because I'm a very anxious person and highly irritable. And getting bad news, like I may react before thinking
Sure.
properly.
Yeah.
It did allow me a chance to be like, this is my moment. I look for these opportunities.
Don't be
How
a
often is
douchebag.
Carrie going to flood the house?
Oh yeah.
And I can react positively.
Yes.
And then bank a
Some
little
cred.
bit of equity in the. Now I can yell at you for other stuff, and it's going to be fine.
You
Because
can't
at
do
one
that.
time I was nice before.
You can't do that, but it does absolve you from at least, I would say, 2 to 3 annoying incidents potentially that have happened in the last 3 to 4 months. We'll settle there and then start anew. So it's been eventful without having you here, and
Yeah.
again, it's
I
all
gotta
covered.
say, I still don't quite understand the logic of. Okay, I wouldn't have been able to foresee the dogs
Who would have?
creating a flood situation, but I would never have locked them in like a room like that. My biggest fear would have been that they would have scratched the doors.
No, I even put something in front of the door so they couldn't get to it. Couldn't even get to the door. But alas, a flood did happen. I do also,
they are
though,
very resourceful in turning on water faucets. They do the spigots outside all the time. I don't know how they do it.
unknown.
But maybe they just felt like they needed a bath.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. I did feel like if you are looking for a visual of this, do you remember A Quiet Place 2? That Emily Blunt scene where she's sort of like wading through the basement of the house, water just sort of like rushing over her face.
That's A Quiet Place 1.
I think it happened in both, but even if it didn't, you know what I'm talking about. And it was kind of like that in the basement. So
what did the dogs look like when you found them? Were they happy or sad?
Oh gosh, they were having a hell of a time. Why not? They were just in like a sprinkler. They were just like drinking from the hose. So they just they were loving it. It was like the best doggy daycare that they've ever been to. So I also feel good about that from a dog parenting standpoint, that I was able to provide such an entertaining and spirited time while we were away for those few hours. So,
well, hey, good job. Nice job taking care of the mess you made.
Thanks.
Fantastic.
Let's never, again, I don't think it was me, which we disagree on, I'm sure, but the other caveat to telling you the story on the air is what
you'd be a great politician. You know?
Right.
You'd be a great politician. Like anything good that happens is my fault. Anything bad that happens is not my fault.
I mean, that is true if I was ever to blame. Yes. For which I am not. So me telling you this in a public forum, though, also is sort of my caveat to also say, I do never want to speak of this again. We've had the conversation. I've told you all the details of what have happened. And now never really want to speak of this time or moment ever again. So I'm glad that
it is forgotten.
It is forgotten.
It is as forgotten as the movies we are about to talk about. I wish I could forget these movies.
Indeed. What should we lead in with? We've got a couple to go from, and I also really want to hear about the movie premiere that you went to a little bit and how you liked that movie too.
Well, actually, yeah, that topic is part of the future of movies. It actually segues nicely.
Okay, so then let's lead in first with. Do you want to start with a little Demons 2 from 1986?
I will. Let's complete I think it could be even a trilogy. I don't. So someone can write in and tell us. But this is a second film by Lamberto Bava. produced, I believe, by or written by Dario Argento. I'm sure Argento also did it.
His name
It's
is
a follow-up
Do you
to the
call him
first Demons.
Dario?
Was it
Did you say Dario?
Dario?
Oh yeah,
I
Dario.
said Dario.
Okay.
Dario's kind of style is infused in here, but it's Lamberto Bava's follow-up film to the first Demons, which we saw only about a few weeks ago, where a group of individuals are invited to a theater, kind of an early screening, like I've been invited to. I'll tell you, I've been worried that there would be demons that show up, but essentially these patrons are going to be used to embody demons, like the whole theater set up. And what's happening, it's very meta. Like in the theater, they're playing a movie that is demonic, and kind of foreshadows what's going to happen to them. In this follow-up, it is basically the same thing except TV.
And in an apartment, not a theater.
And in an apartment. It does remind me a little bit. It's a group of tenants and visitors are trapped in this high-rise apartment infested with demons. That would be a pretty interesting plot, but it's also, they do the meta thing where rather than patrons invited to a movie theater, it's just people watching a zombie movie. And somehow the zombie, it's a little bit like Poltergeist 3, where Marianne is with her other family in a high-rise apartment. It has like those kind of vibes. I do like the high-rise apartment vibe, but the way the demons begin their accessing the individuals is coming through the television. And that I don't quite understand.
How did you feel about that effect?
It was accurate for the time.
Okay.
Which is 1986. I would say it's no better or worse than, what I saw from Poltergeist. There's also some repelling scenes. I mean, this one definitely had a bigger budget. They took all that Demons 1 money and invested it in Demons 2. Actually, the more I'm watching while we're talking, like I'm looking at I don't know if it's like a trailer or whatnot, but it's something's playing on IMDb and I'm watching and I'm like, this is acting. There's like, it's got some action scenes. It's high production value. It's got the same extremely graphic demon transformations and kills and things like that. But there's money on the screen here for sure. But plot wise, I really had trouble understanding. And it's I shouldn't care about plot with this movie. This movie does not have plot necessarily.
That's fair. And
other than the setup,
I agree. I think this one tries to do something a little bit different with even though making it even a little bit more shocking. So like the first one has some shocking moments. You're like, what is happening? You're trying to process it. In this one, like they then infuse like once the demonry starts and people start demoning all over the place, then it's like, let's just try.
I like demoning as a verb, or demon as a verb.
It is. And I've just coined it. Then you have the demon attacking the pregnant lady, like waiting for her husband to come in like a really gruesome way. And then, her coming back and attacking him. And then, like alien style demons bursting out of people to try and like terrorize people. Like, I think this one felt like it was even going for even more of a gruesome shock factor. And like, again, really hitting on like kids and pregnant people and things that are like, hey, let's leave those people alone.
If you were left wanting more from the first Demon movie, and you mentioned aliens, this is the James Cameron compared to, oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name, Alien director. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing.
Ridley Scott.
I'll get to him. Oh, this is the most.
You're turned on, aren't you?
Let's cut that part out. No, it's Ridley Scott. Let's cut this part out.
Wait, no, I was right?
I know. Let's cut this part out.
I know you like when I do that, and it's again.
This is the aliens to alien jump. It's there's a lot more. There's a lot of demons, and to Carrie's point, if you like the first one,
yeah, no, I agree. And this one, I did not like the first one, but for this one, for me, something about this, and maybe to your point, maybe it was the budget or something, or maybe I was just mentally prepared for what I was about to get from having seen the first one. I didn't mind this one as much, I would say, as the first one. And I do like that sort of infectious, like we've seen, when you see other movies where it's like a contagion breaks out in an apartment building, like that sort of contained thing that it does, like in a place where you should otherwise feel safe because it's in, your home or your apartments or whatever. Like I do kind of like that element, maybe even more than the theater vibe that was in the last one too. So again, all in all, I think this one was maybe slightly less bad than Demons 1.
That's interesting.
That's my assessment.
I think I prefer the first Demons.
Really?
Yeah, because they set you up with, and they do some setups with like caring about characters, but like you were really following in the first one, you were following a very small group of people, and then there were ancillary characters that had, slightly caricatures a little bit, but like they were just like, it was easier to follow along, I guess, what was happening and who was involved. So I don't know. I actually preferred the smaller scale of perhaps the first Demons, but.
All right. Well, to each their own. Probably have sold a lot of people on this, which is exciting. So this, again, thank you, Ish, for Demons 2 from Dan Prestwich. Now I'm going to jump into something that I've been mulling over for quite some time. So we did watch the movie requested by Patreon Gavin McDowell, Grave of the Fireflies.
I should say also recent addition as a contributor to Alternate Ending beyond just the limited series of French cinema, and now I'm rethinking that whole offer.
Fired, just completely fired. Yeah, especially you. When I'm upset, I have a tendency to get more mad, or if I feel like somebody's trying to like make me sad, I'm really resistant to it. Like I will not cry if I know that this is going to be something that's really sad. And in your case, you just wept through this entire movie, I would say.
Let me place my anger appropriately.
Yeah.
Gavin assigned us this film, but you made me watch it.
You have to deliver. And to be fair, what would you have done?
There was a time I said, all right, I think I'm good. And that was like 10 minutes into the movie.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm all right.
You did say that.
Periodically throughout, I kept coming back to you and saying,
I think I'm okay.
I think I understand what this movie is. I don't think I need to keep watching. And you persisted that we watch every damn frame as we do with every Patreon pick. And this is again one where I just was like, I understand what this movie's doing. I don't think I need to see it. I think I'd like, and it was late, right? We watched this pretty late.
That's fair. And I'll tell you, for you that haven't seen it, I'll tell you all the reasons to avoid it momentarily. So I, going into this, was like, oh, this is going to be a little bit of a breeze, at least from a timeline perspective. I did think this was for some reason a short. It is not. It is 90 minutes. I thought it was going to be like 20 minutes of brutal pain and then would be able to just go and shake in the corner, but instead it really was just, again, a feature-length movie. Another thing that I thought about this movie before going into it that I was wrong about was that I thought it was going to be nuclear war death. I don't know why I was under that impression, but Rob...
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I think Tim had it under something like that. I thought the way that
Tim had always described it was the dropping of, like, or Hiroshima, or that there would be radio, like they're dealing with the outcome of radioactivity poisoning, and they're slowly dying the whole movie.
That is what I thought too.
I may have preferred. So at this point,
this is we align on this. What is the one thing, Rob, that is worse for me than nuclear war? Tell me what it is. My worst thing that it could be. Worst case scenario for me beyond nuclear war.
I don't know. If I answer this correctly, I don't know if I did not know it in advance. Starvation?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that that's like your worst fear.
I'm always eating, Rob. That
is true.
I'm always peddling food to people. Like if the kids are hungry, I have to like immediately swerve over or pull out like a flat granola bar from my purse or a Werther's candy or something like that. I can't handle when people are like, I'm hungry. Just in general. Like I have serious problems with it. So that said, I'll jump into Grave of the Fireflies. So this is a 1988 Japanese animated war film. So here's the other thing you're going to hate to hear, Rob. I don't even want to tell you this because I think you might cry again. It's also semi-autobiographical. I know. I knew that would be your face.
What do you mean?
The story is semi-autobiographical. This is a partial, like a lot of the story is true.
Yamazaki's. Well, okay.
We'll
You need
get
to
there.
explain. I need
We'll
to, I
get
need
there.
to know more
Yes.
about that.
I know you're going to have to research now, but don't research now. Do it later. But
Can we just say this is a safe zone for spoilers for Grave of the Fireflies if you haven't heard?
I don't think
seen the
so.
film?
I'm going to try not to, actually, because I think a lot of people have missed this, and I don't want to say what happens. But
I mean, I feel like I think maybe it's not spoilable, to be honest, because I think it spoils itself in the. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, fair. So the story opens up with this sweet guy. You don't know who he is, but he's clearly famished and in sort of like maybe a train station, and he dies like in the first minute of the story. That was where Rob's like, turn it off. I'm not watching this. I was like, come on, persevere, Rob. We can carry on. We can do this. And then as he dies, you sort of see this sort of, you don't know if it's a figment of his imagination. You're not exactly sure what it is, but this young girl, and then sort of cuts back in time. And you then meet this adorable, just the worst kind of adorable brother and sister. Setsuko is the little girl. And then, wait, oh, you're just shaking your head because you're disturbed. Oh, okay. Just the worst kind of cute.
Then when we were introduced to her, I was like, nope, now we're
really out. I was like,
nothing can happen to this child.
No, yeah, Rob was like, protect this child at all cost. And then I'll just say Sieta. I don't think I'm pronouncing that very well, but like Sieta is this older brother, much older brother, who is really
Sato.
Thank you. Sato, who is caring for his young sister, and this is during wartime, so their mother is injured very early on and does not make it, and it's the story then that transpires from there of, I know you're starting to tear up, it's so bad, it is the worst, the story that sets on from there of him trying to protect her from the atrocities of war, to like keep her happy and protected from everything that's going on in the
all while being a child himself.
He's a child himself. All he's doing is trying to keep her alive through food and water and all of those things. And it is the worst movie I think I've ever seen. It gets an 8.5 on IMDb, but they're monsters. Every person that's out there is just a terrible, terrible monster that can see or watch this movie. It will break your soul for sure. It's terrible, but some people like it, so just not Rob.
I've been very emotional the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
like, crying randomly and things. Like I don't think I can verbalize what I want to say without starting to sob, but I'll try. I think the biggest challenge for me with how destructive it was emotionally was that while suffering, like clearly, like she was still like very childlike and happy, and that was really hard to watch for me.
Yeah. And the animation in it is so amazing. So it's like, I don't want to see this well animated. I don't want to see these details of people that are fading away, and yet the animation is so good that it's like in your face then the entire time in terms of like their ultimate outcomes, and it's just heartbreaking. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. So Gavin,
do you feel like the message is an anti-war film? Is it a because
I do. I think it's the problem that I already always have with things like this is when you look at, and we did this in our patriotism movies in the last episode of like, you're only getting that one perspective, like during these times of war, when we come in and we're dropping bombs and smoke things and doing all these things, like you're not seeing the perspectives of children and families and the people that just want to raise their families well. You're only seeing, one vantage point. And these are I'm sure that these are obviously the impacts of war that we hide behind,
The reason I bring it up is because if their specific story, while it was created because of a wartime situation, these are situations that happen outside of wartime as well too. And that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know if it's, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought more about I've been trying to forget about the movie, but interrogating in my mind is like, this is not just a wartime issue
Yeah, no,
for
that's fair.
many people living in poverty. So yeah, to think about, like, I don't want to forget it because I want to be reminded that, how we don't have to think about where we're going to get our next meal. Yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot, Gavin.
You're fired.
Jerk.
You're fired, jerk. No.
No, it's.
You
I mean,
too can sign
it's
up for
great
Patreon
filming.
and join us for these special conversations about your movie choices and tastes. So, again, thank you on some level, Gavin, for sharing this.
Well, you know who could have got them a hot meal care?
No, you tell me. I bet you.
Well, I can't afford a hot meal, but Netflix can afford a hot meal. Netflix just recently released, or is going to release in July 22nd, I think, or right around there, on straight to Netflix is coming a film, The Gray Man, which, if I don't know, I haven't been on Netflix in a while, but at least here in Hollywood, every sign is The Gray Man, which makes very little sense to me because it is getting, much like every Netflix film, a very limited theatrical release. I had the opportunity, was taken by a friend to go see the premiere of it. It's like a pre-premiere, which was strange. I only know it's a pre-premiere because walking Hollywood Boulevard now, or what, Sunset, I don't know, one of these streets, next to the Dolby Theater, they're setting up for the big red carpet extravaganza. But on Sunday, a couple of days ago, I had a chance to see it in a more intimate theater, and afterwards do a Q&A with the entire cast, including the Russo brothers. This is a film that stars Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Billy Bob Thornton, Alfred Woodard. Gosh, who else is in this? So many people. So every single person is in this. And it's as the title indicates, it's a story of someone who kind of lives in the gray. It's a little bit of Suicide Squad meets James Bond, Jason Bourne.
Ooh,
If
that's up
if
your
that
alley
gets you
for sure.
excited. Yeah, it's Ryan Gosling is the lead character. He is the Gray Man, or one of the Gray Mans. He's not 007, he's 006.
Are you serious?
As the joke is a joke that's made in the film, but he's a CIA operative who was he is a prisoner who committed a crime early on in his life and is basically in there through, for the next 30 years. The CIA recruits them to, like, go off the books and be a CIA agent to kill, to get trained as the most effective killer, very Jason Bourne, and off the books, and does some stuff. And a new regime has come in, and they are trying to eliminate. Again, very much like, it's basically Jason. The more I say it out loud, it's basically Jason Bourne. Not as kinetic as the Bourne series, not as grounded. It's a $200 million movie, and it was a lot of fun. It was a tremendous amount of fun. I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd. Ryan Gosling is always charming and funny. I don't even know if he's trying to be funny. It doesn't matter. I laugh at him because he's good at dramatic stuff.
This was at a QA, so it had a QA afterwards, so you could ask questions about the movie to him, right?
No, it was hosted by a podcast host, and I was waiting for my question, and they didn't go to the audience. I would have embarrassed my friend and asked a question had I been able to. What would my question been?
Yeah.
They had during the Q&A, they started talking about James Bond and as well, and I was going to ask Anthony Joe, first of all, great. I could ask my question here.
I know.
Anthony Joe, first of all, amazing film, wonderful cast. All your performances were incredible. Even more incredible was being able to see it with this audience on the big screen. So thank you so much for that opportunity. You all mentioned James Bond, and I know that the writer of the book, Mark Greaney, that this is a series. Is there any thought to this? Because your movie also leaves a lot of questions that are open. And I'm wondering, is this the first of potentially more installments? James Bond has 27 films. Could we see, 10 Gray Men in the future? So that was going to be my question. That would have been good.
It's just That's never going to happen. It's just the one. Next
No, it's
question.
not.
Next question.
I think they're definitely setting this up for sequels and to make this a franchise. And that leads us to what the topic is at hand, the future of movies. Care, at $20 a month,
Yes.
how many subscribers would Netflix, just to pay for this one movie for 1 month, in 1 month?
Okay.
I mean, it's not a fair statement. How many subscribers would that be?
Well, 200,000 divided by 20.
200,000? You mean 200 million?
Oh yeah, sorry, 200 million divided by 20, right?
That's correct.
So 20. Don't make me do math on the fly.
10
That's
10 million subscribers.
Million subscribers.
Yeah, just for this one movie.
Yes.
And it just, they have billboards everywhere. That's just the cost of the movie, not the advertising. For some reason, they are open up your IMDb, go to imdb.com right now. I'm curious if it pops up for you. It's there for me on the top, along with apparently some sort of supplement for male enhancement.
That just is in your SEO. Yeah, no, it definitely knows. No, actually, I have a different movie. I have a lady in a red robe.
That's the name of the movie.
The Rings of Power.
Okay. Oh, that's the ad. That's not an ad. That's the trailer for the new Lord of the Rings series.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Well, in any case, it's more than just the 200 million that they're paying to make this, and it's on the screen. I would say the only flaw for me with the movie is it goes through like 20 title cards showing off all the various locations they've been, like way too many. It's like at one point I was like, quit going to different places. Like, you're taking me out of the movie. Every 5 minutes now we're in Prague, and it's like on the screen is Prague, and it's like Azerbaijan. Like, just pick one place.
So when you say that,
criticism.
though, what's the ask then? State of movies. Do you feel like there's a change coming? I mean, they've been doing this for
Netflix's
so long.
Stock, for those who are following, is in the toilet. It has been in the toilet for the last few weeks, months. They announced their first, and I say in the toilet, let's see, let's do year to date. Oh yeah, it's in the toilet. This year they peaked at a 52-week high of 700. What would you guess their stock is today, Care?
Oh boy, Rob. Well, have they done any splits?
No splitting.
No splits.
No stocks.
Look at that knowledge there, though. Look at that knowledge, Rob. I would say it is at, would you say $700 before?
Yeah, $700 a share.
Okay.
At the 52-week high.
I would say it's currently at $325.
It is at 162.
That's lower than $325. That's for sure.
It is. That is very concerning, because Netflix's whole model is an arms race. They're just strictly more of like a tech company style. Hey, we'll figure out how to make money later. And that was fine early on, when they didn't have content. And then they started spending like $200 million on movies like Red Notice, Gray Man, the Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston film, Red Notice 2, Extraction, giving Ryan Johnson, giving him $400 million for Two Knives Out series. Like, irresponsible spending where in no way, shape, or form will you get this money back? Like, especially without a theatrical model. There is no theatrical model. This isn't Top Gun, and they're going to make $1 billion in theaters. When this Gray Man movie, it is for sure a movie that would benefit by having a theatrical run. There is so when I ask you the state of movies, are you able as a casual moviegoer to understand why this is a concern? Or do you not care? Because you're like, I get to watch Gray Man at home.
I mean, I'm concerned if it means that they're going to go out of business because they don't have enough funding and they go in the hole, because I leverage Netflix a lot. It feels like before that ever happens, though, they will come up with that change of model or that shift, which may be dissatisfying to people that are watching, but maybe it includes advertising. Like you do have to sit through a 30-second ad before you start, or intermittent ads, which again, nobody would like and they might lose people. But it seems like before they would get to that point, they would figure out a different model to create more funding coming in, kind of like a theater model, having to pay for something above and beyond each time. Because we know that a lot of...
How do you feel? What's that?
Oh, I was going to say, even we know how some of the theater models worked out. Like, what was the subscription service thing where we got unlimited movies, and that was a disaster. Movie Pass or whatever.
Well, that's the thing, is if it's too good to be true, it is. And Movie Pass didn't work. Netflix, it's too good to be true. We're being... The problem I have with casual movie folks is that it's like kids in the candy store. We're getting gluttonous with all of this. They're creating expectations that this is how it will always be. And it is not sustainable. Like there's no way you can keep it like this. And it's creating a situation where independent filmmakers, like I'm trying to become, it's like your options are go straight to streaming or you're a Marvel movie. Like that's it. There's nothing in between. And you're also creating a situation where there's only a handful of actors who have value, or like a lot of value. And that's problematic too, for various reasons as an independent filmmaker. And as just someone who enjoys mid-budget films, like low to mid-budget films, is like, it's just the marketplace is going to be for those. It's like those may go away. Like they may not make $10 million, $20 million, $30 million movies because it's just like it's not cool enough to go to theaters. It's not small enough to make any money back on streaming. You mentioned changes to the model just announced maybe a few minutes ago. We're breaking some news, Kara. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Netflix chooses Microsoft to partner with for a lower price tier with ads.
This is what I'm so mad that you just said this. I'm so mad because that's exactly what I was going to suggest. I literally was going to say that. I said, or the alternative is there's going to be some sort of ad model that gets introduced. Or like the other thought is like, and this again isn't great, but like if you have to have a tiered structure then that says there's some amount that I pay for unlimited access to all of these movies. There's some amount that I pay to get access to 15 movies a month of my choice, or, there has to become some sort of tiering structure that they can charge more for, more and less for. And then you get that lowest level, which feels a lot like maybe what you have today, but it starts to pull back some of the options that they have, would be the direction that I would think it would go.
For years, I mean, really even up until their stock drop, they said that they would never be ads on Netflix. So it's just funny how, what's bothering me about Netflix is what they did to Blockbuster is happening to them.
I was just thinking that too.
And the irony is that you have the hindsight to know that you had this opportunity, your stock was like through the roof, and you missed the boat. Everybody else is, in my opinion, caught up or now past them, not in subscribers per se, but in quality. Like, can you name 10 good movies? Name 5 good movies that are Netflix original movies besides The Gray Man. Can you name 5 movies?
I watched a lot of movies, Rob. Maybe Red Notice.
You liked Red Notice.
I didn't, but funny, quick digression, funny story, again, that will just have driven you mad. When I was at the birthday party while the house was flooding, the most hilarious exchange. So I'm sitting there and I was saying, I'm like, Rob's at a movie premiere. And I said, I must be so tired. I can't even think of what the guy's name is right now. So the hilarity of trying to figure out who was in that panel that you were in with my parents and my sister, I was like, it's the guy. I was like, I think his name is Ryan. And they were like, oh, Ryan. We're going on and on like, oh gosh, Ryan. I was like, he was the guy in The Notebook. I was like, I'm horrified that I can't think of it. I was like, I have a movie podcast. I'm like, the guy from The Notebook.
Okay. I didn't have Ridley Scott. Here's the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
So my mom then goes back, I would never watch The Notebook. That's way too sad. So this turned into like a 30-minute thing. Finally, we identified, we're like, oh, Ryan, he was in Red Notice. And so we went down this whole path. We all agreed, Ryan from Red Notice. And then my dad's like, yeah, he's a real funny guy. And I was like, I don't think he's that funny. And then we realized for like 20 minutes we were talking about Ryan Reynolds. So
Nice.
we never really got there to Ryan Gosling. I'm there now. So
Yeah, I don't know where we are as far as this where I was what we were talking about. That was
no,
a
you were
huge
talking about
side story.
you were saying name 10 movies that are on
Okay,
Netflix,
yes.
and
Okay, you
I can't.
Netflix is better known maybe for original content on television. Name 5 great Netflix television shows. I can name 2 offhand.
Netflix original television shows?
Yep, Netflix original shows. I can name 2 that came right to mind. That like you and I like wanted to watch regularly.
I know that cult documentary. Isn't that on Netflix? No.
I mean, just because it's on, I'm saying original Netflix.
I have no idea, Rob.
That they didn't have to buy. Stranger Things comes to mind for me.
Sure.
And Fleabag. And I don't even know if Fleabag was like a Netflix original. Like they may have paid for that. Like I can't even. This is the problem. Like I can't. Like everybody else has good quality content, and Netflix had like a 3-year or multi-year head start on everybody else. And then now they're screwing up the future of movies. Like that's what's bothering me is that the types of movies that I like the most are the movies that Netflix is at risk of destroying because they are creating expectations for consumers that are unrealistic. And there's going to be, I fear that there's going to be a period of time, we'll call it the dark ages, where Netflix will go out of business or whatever. There's going to be just like all of this content, cheap content around like low quality, there's going to be Marvel movies and there's going to be nothing else. No one's going to want to take a risk of anything in between. And those are my favorite movies. And I don't know if that were to happen, would you be impacted by that? Or are you okay by that as a casual moviegoer?
So are you saying in that, what's safe? Are the low budgets are still safe? And then you're saying it's you lose the middle. So you're saying you're going to have movies that are super cheap that are out there, and then big budget theater movies is where you think it's going.
That is what I believe that the case to be. Is because then everything else in between, I would say between 5 million and 40 million, 50 million, 60 million. Look at Men, the movie Men.
Yeah.
$60 million. How is that? Is that going to make that's movies like, not that we cared for that movie, but Ex Machina. Like there's like, I don't know. There's these 40 million Wind River. Like, I don't know how much Wind River cost. That was like, if you go back to, at least for me, for my top 5 movies that aren't Marvel movies, I'm part of the problem. I realize this. I do like popcorn movies. So I don't want those to go away. But I definitely don't want a cinematic movie made for under $40 million to go away either. And those are like, that's where the art is to me. Like some of the most artistic or the most interesting character driven movies. I'm just worried that we're going to lose a decade, 5 years, a decade of those types of movies as a result of Netflix kind of creating and starting this whole system of irresponsible spending on content. But
that's fair. Is there any world in which we live in that we also don't pay somebody $20 million for like a month of their time? Is there any sort of
are you talking about actors?
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem is Netflix has created a marketplace where that is now their expectation. So it's not like the crew is getting this money.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's the talent and it's the creators. What's that?
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm agreeing. But like, what's the cap on that? Like, where do we step back and say, yeah, do I need to be making millions and millions of dollars for just a moment of my time to work on something? Like maybe there's some limits. Maybe we can write a couple letters, see what happens.
I don't fault them. I mean, they're contributing to the problem, but their agents are doing, if it wasn't Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson getting $20 million for Red Notice and Ryan Reynolds, it'd be someone else. They would have just go to the next person. So it's that it's irresponsible filmmaking. They took their stock value and they're like, let's let the algorithm pick the combination of factors, the plot and the actors involved. And the algorithm spits out like, oh, okay, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Gal Gadot spy movie, go make it, whatever it takes. Don't care about how much it costs. and they've done this now for a decade. And now I mean, COVID didn't help, but they're exacerbating a larger problem. It's not just Netflix, and I hope that my stuff ends up on Netflix. So don't get me wrong.
Yeah, not after this. Not after this podcast, Rob.
I'm not making a 10, a 20, a $30 million movie. I am making low budget films, and that is a good place for streaming. We're making affordable, responsibly made, financially made films, with talented individuals, both, and crews getting paid fairly. Talent is being paid an equitable rate, but we're not, we're able to make what I think is going to look like $1 million movie, but for $500,000. And that's still I think that's a good place for streaming.
So one quick question that I want to offer, though. So why is this any different than the HBO Maxes or, other streaming services like Amazon or whatever that also pick up some of these really, really big movies? Why are they less impacted? Is it just because of quantity, like quantity versus quality?
They push their stuff to theatrical.
Well, it's like I'm talking like HBO, we know, like you and I love now.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Wait, so you're saying they push it to theaters in addition to, and then it goes to HBO?
That's correct.
So they don't have originals.
So during the pandemic, HBO was famously decided to pull all their stuff and push it straight to streaming during the pandemic, which got a lot of heat. I was super excited because I was getting a ton of movies that I was excited about straight to streaming. That was a pandemic choice. They have the ability to quickly pivot back now and say, like, no, like, okay, let me put it this way. Paramount Plus is a streaming service that you probably don't watch. What if they had pulled Top Gun Maverick after 30 days in theaters, or just had that go straight to streaming? They would have walked away from what now is like maybe going to be one of the biggest. It is one of the biggest movies of all time. And there was talk of, well, okay, we'll put it in theaters for 45 days, and then we'll put it straight to streaming to drive streaming. And it's like, if they had done, if Tom Cruise hadn't spoken up and said, no, keep it there, they would have probably lost hundreds of millions of dollars going out early. So it's just, the reason I'm picking on Netflix is because and to your point, they've changed their ad strategy, which is a start. They need to stop putting $200 million straight to streaming. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm glad that we've hashed this out. It is clear to me that you were far, far more passionate about this problem than me, but I will stay close to it and try and figure out where this goes over time in the news. Keep me updated. I know you keep up on this stuff.
Yeah. What happens if you don't get Miss Harris Goes to Paris? I'm going to go see that in theaters tonight.
What?
And what if that movie is just no longer? We don't make movies like that.
Here's
anymore.
What you can do.
Who's going to go to Paris?
What I need you to do is I need you to just sort of hold your phone up for that whole movie and just sort of record it for me and then send it to me, because I do really want to see that. If you could, I'd really appreciate that.
That's the least I can do.
I appreciate it. Well, thanks. Hopefully I'll see you in a couple days.
No, I think I like it out here.
Yeah, you're going to stay?
Yeah, apartment living's nice. If there's floods, they have people who take care of it.
Oh, that's nice.
Properly.
Yeah, I know you mentioned calling the insurance company, but without you here, I got it. I got it under control. So I'm going to do some construction work there myself. Got the blow dryer out. I feel really good about where we've landed from a mold perspective. So more to come. Keep you posted.
More mold to come?
Or yeah.
More damage to come?
Unknown, Rob. It's really unknown at this point. So thanks for catching up. Do you have anything fun planned for the rest of your visit before you come back on Thursday?
Yeah, I'm meeting contributor Mike D'Angelo for dinner tonight. I'm going to go see Mrs. Harris in Paris, Goes to Paris. And then, that's it. I'm going to be catching up with folks eventually at an amateur hour when I have a moment on all of the exploits that I've done here in Los Angeles in the movie making process. So I'm looking forward to that at some point as well.
That sounds good. Well, as we're eating our frozen burritos, we will think of you. So thanks for jumping on. And next episode upcoming, we have coming up our top 5 Aliens movies. or movies about aliens or movies with aliens, unknown. I still need
No,
to.
it's top. I think it's top 5 aliens. Not alien
Aliens.
movies.
Okay.
It's our favorite aliens.
Aliens. You know, I love aliens. So very, very excited for that. So we'll be catching up with you, me, and Tim next Monday on that episode. So we'll catch you next time.